You ever start watching something and halfway through realise the show might actually hate you? Not in a we're challenging you way, more like, we think you're trash for even being here. Yeah, that's Monster, the Ed Gein story in a nutshell. So Netflix dropped another installment in Ryan Murphy's Monster franchise, this time focusing on Ed Gein, the guy who inspired Psycho, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and basically half the horror canon. Sounds promising, right? Except this 8-episode saga doesn't just stumble. It actively lectures you while stumbling. It's like watching someone trip down the stairs while screaming at you for looking. And if you're wondering whether it's worth your time, stick around, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're about to unpack exactly how this thing went sideways. Let's set the scene. Monster, the Ed Gein story, is the third entry in this anthology series following Dahmer and the Menendez brothers. This time, Ian Brennan takes full creative control, writing every episode himself, and the show wants you to know something very important. Ed Gein wasn't really a monster. He was just a misunderstood, mentally ill mama's boy with some unfortunate hobbies involving corpses and DIY home decor made from human skin. The real monsters, that's you, me, anyone who watches true crime, anyone who's ever made a movie about serial killers, basically everyone except Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan, who are apparently doing God's work by making serial killer content to shame people who consume serial killer content. Critics absolutely shredded it. The Hollywood Reporter called it awful with thoroughly disjointed ambition. Viewers on Reddit are calling it preachy, hypocritical, and genuinely hard to finish. One review literally ends with the line, "I can't emphasize how much contempt this series has for its audience. Enjoy." That's not a hot take, that's a warning label. So what exactly went wrong here? Let's break it down. First off, there's this bizarre attempt at building a grand unified theory of serial killers. The show positions Ed Gein as the narrative patient zero, the guy whose story spawned all the others. Fine premise. Except to make that point, the show spends 8 episodes jumping chaotically between time periods, showing us Ed Gein's life in 1944, then cutting to Alfred Hitchcock making Psycho, then Tobe Hooper filming Texas Chainsaw, then recreating that infamous Buffalo Bill dance scene from Silence of the Lambs, complete with the tucking. It's like someone made a true crime playlist on shuffle and forgot to turn it off. Nothing builds, there's no momentum. Like you're watching Ed milk cows, then suddenly you're watching Tom Hollander as Hitchcock arguing with his wife, then you're back to Ed doing something deeply unsettling with underwear again. The show recreates Ed removing underwear from corpses multiple times, Ed dancing with a chainsaw multiple times, Ed doing things I won't describe in detail because YouTube has rules, and I'd like to keep this channel monetized. And here's the kicker: while showing you all this graphic, repetitive horror, the series is actively scolding you for watching it. It's saying you're desensitized, you're complicit, you're the reason these stories exist. It's like going to a restaurant, ordering the burger, and having the chef come out mid-bite to call you a monster for eating meat, except you already paid and you're stuck there for 8 courses. Then there's the Nazi stuff. Yes, Nazi stuff. The show decides that Ed Gein's descent into madness was partially inspired by pulp crime magazines featuring Ilse Koch, the so-called bitch of Buchenwald, so we get recreations of concentration camp atrocities, emaciated prisoners in striped uniforms, the whole disturbing package. And the show's defence, well, the magazines were exploitative, so we're just showing you what exploited him. It's commentary, see, except it's not commentary when you're doing the exact thing you're criticising, just with better production value. Multiple reviewers have pointed out that Ryan Murphy has an uncomfortable habit of returning to Holocaust imagery across his shows. And this might be the most baffling example yet. The series dedicates entire scenes to mocking Hitchcock for making Psycho, criticising Texas Chainsaw for being too violent, and even takes shots at Mindhunter, which is wild because Mindhunter is also on Netflix. Netflix is literally funding a show that attacks another Netflix show for doing the same thing it's doing. It's like watching a snake eat its own tail while complaining about the taste. And look, Charlie Hunnam is committed, terrifyingly committed. He's doing this haunted, wandering-eyed thing with a voice that sounds like someone slowly deflating a whoopee cushion. He's also somehow absolutely shredded, which raises questions about Ed Gein's workout routine that the show never addresses. Laurie Metcalf is out here wailing about harlots like she's auditioning for a Tennessee Williams play on Fast Forward. These are good actors giving performances that are way too big for a show that can't decide what it's trying to be. By the final 2 episodes, which one reviewer described as interminable dirges, The show is still going and going and going. There's a moment where the series literally uses a real person, Christine Jorgensen, to clarify that Ed Gein wasn't transgender, which is great and necessary, except it happens so late that most viewers will have already checked out and the damage from that Buffalo Bill scene is already done. It's like apologising for stepping on someone's foot after you've already walked across their entire body. But here's the thing, buried under all this chaos, under the moralising and the repetitive horror and the structural disaster, you can still glimpse what they were trying to do. The idea that our cultural obsession with serial killers reveals something about us. That's valid. The notion that we've turned real tragedies into entertainment commodities worth exploring. The show wants to be a mirror held up to American true crime obsession. The problem is it's a funhouse mirror at a carnival run by people who are charging admission while screaming at you for buying a ticket. There are moments that work. Susanna Sona's Adeline gives the only subtle performance in the entire show, this enigmatic presence that keeps you guessing whether she's real or imagined. The cinematography is genuinely beautiful, especially the frozen Wisconsin landscapes that feel appropriately lifeless. Matt Quill's score does some interesting Bernard Herrmann homages that are actually pretty haunting. And honestly, the show's thesis isn't entirely wrong. We do consume these stories voraciously. We do turn killers into anti-heroes. We do click on the documentaries and binge the dramatizations and then act shocked when another one gets made. The Monster franchise wants to interrogate that impulse. The problem is you can't interrogate something while actively participating in it at the most extreme level possible. You can't make the most graphic, exploitative version of a story and then claim moral superiority because you added a scene where someone says exploitation is bad. So yeah, it's a mess, a preachy, hypocritical, occasionally well-acted mess that thinks it's smarter than you and really wants you to know it. The show announced they're doing Lizzie Borden next, and one reviewer genuinely suggested they just don't. Maybe take a beat. Maybe reconsider whether the world needs another monster installment that's going to spend 8 hours showing you terrible things while explaining that you're terrible for looking. But here's what makes it interesting in a train wreck sort of way. This show represents something bigger. It's what happens when prestige TV tries to have its cake, eat it, and then shame you for being hungry. It's the logical endpoint of a genre that's been cannibalizing itself for years. And if Hollywood's going to keep making disasters like this, at least they're giving us something to talk about. So that's my take. Was it really that bad, or are we all just tired of being lectured by the same people who keep making the thing they're lecturing us about? Did anyone actually make it through all 8 episodes? Drop your thoughts below, because honestly, I need to know I'm not the only one who felt personally attacked by a Netflix show.